Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining with me today. I am super keen for what I am sharing and what I've been called to bring to each one of you. And I know some of you are able to be with us live today, and some of you are going to be watching the recording. I've had many, many messages of people saying, I'm so sorry, I can't make it live. And it's all good because your energy is still right here with us. And as we listen to the recordings, oftentimes, we want to listen to them again and again anyways. And I've attended many, many webinars and masterclasses over the years, and I love having the recordings because it gives me that freedom to be able to, in those moments where I'm thinking, oh, I really need that information about what I heard on this such and such webinar, and I can go back to the recording. So you will have all of those available to you. So I have titled this masterclass, Unlocking Possibilities, Living in Alignment and Elevating the Collective. And I got to tell you, this is not something a year ago that I thought I would be bringing to you. This has been something that has been given to me as really a calling, and I'm really excited to share it with you today. I believe that each one of you has it within you to live a beautifully aligned life. And I want to show you how, over the next 3 days, how you can actually create it. And I truly believe that no matter what has happened to date in your life, that today is a new beginning. And if you decide at the end of our time together that you would like to continue on this journey with me and many others, this has been, like I said, a year ago, wasn't even on my radar. In fact, wasn't even on my radar until November of 2023. And this is really like birthing a baby for me. This is a picture of my fourth child, who's now almost 6. But because I'm birthing a new baby, and you know what happens whenever there's a new child in your world, we bring gifts, we give gifts. And so I do have a gift for you should you decide to join me continuing beyond the masterclass with what I have to offer you. I have this old-fashioned cookbook that I have created, and it is meant for meals that are to be shared with your loved ones. So this is not your super green, super crazy, healthy, vegan type cookbook. This is, there's lots of healthy recipes in here, but there's also how to make cinnamon buns and things like that. So there's some yummy stuff in there as well. So let's start by all of us making sure that our phones and devices are all muted, myself included, because the reality nowadays is everything is vying for our attention. So we want to just shut off everything, put everything on mute, and let us settle our nervous system first. I've been learning a lot about the nervous system over the past while, and recognizing that many of us are engaged in this incredible pace of life. We are rushing all the time. We are on high alert. We have cortisol and adrenaline just going all of the time. And what results from this is that we feel exhausted. We're stressed out. We're reaching for the caffeine or to bring us up during the day, and then the alcohol to bring us down at nighttime, or the sugar in between to just give us that little spike. And we're becoming a real body of people who are almost in this chaotic, out of control way of being. And on top of all this, each one of us suffers from this need to never be rejected. And so we're living in this, like, I'm not enough. I keep trying. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do. And at the end of the day, what we truly desire is to feel that inner peace, to feel the stillness, to feel calm within our soul, to feel the expansiveness of love, and ultimately to be in alignment with the things that we truly desire for our life. So the first thing I want to take us through is just a little bit of some breathing. Now, with our breath, many of us are in this place of breathing through our mouths. And see, I just took a deep breath and I breathed in through my mouth. So there's nothing wrong with breathing in through our mouth. But when we really want to settle our nervous system, one of the best things we can do is nasal breathing, because this nasal breathing actually allows our whole system to calm down. So the first thing I want us to all do right now is take in a nice big breath through your nose. And do your best, just put your hand on your belly, because a lot of times we go, and our shoulders and our neck and everything reaches right up to our head, right? And this is like the upper lungs. We want to really focus and concentrate on our diaphragmatic breathing. And if we can do one thing throughout the day, is take a moment to do some deep diaphragmatic breaths. This will go a long way to calming our entire nervous system and helping to settle even our minds. So this communicates to our body that we are safe, we are loved, we're on the right track, there's nothing to be afraid of. Even just that is really a gift you can give yourself every single day. So just taking a moment for that nasal breathing. You're improving your brain oxygenation, you're enhancing your vagal tone. We're going to talk about vagal tone tomorrow. And then I want to talk about havening. Now, havening is something new to me. Well, I guess about a year ago, I learned about havening, and it's really a very gentle touch for your body. And a lot of times we're so disconnected from our body. We're kind of running in all these different directions. We're not really paying attention. We don't even notice that, oh man, like there's all this tension. Maybe there's a creak here, a creak there. And so when we do this havening, what it allows us to do is feel our bodies, to get back in touch with our bodies. And we're doing this touch almost like we're applying lotion to our skin. And you're just going to glide your hands together. Just imagine you're putting on lotion. The great thing about this, you could do this under a table, or you're sitting on an airplane and you're just gently caressing your hands. Nobody's going to think anything of you. You're just touching gently. This is a really great way to calm the nervous system. Now, for those of you who are doing this and going, oh, I feel really like stressed out doing this, that's okay. You might be in a situation where you need to elevate things and you can actually do a bit of shaking. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So if in this moment, this gentle touch is actually triggering things for you, that's okay, because there's a time and a place for each of these nervous system healing techniques. And if now is the time for it, beautiful. If it's not, it's okay. Just sit here and focus on your nasal breathing. And one tip that I found with the breathing is if I'm having troubles catching that breath and I'm having sort of a moment where I'm maybe feeling more anxious or more nervous, what I'll start by doing is breathing all the way out as much as I can, which then allows my body to take in a bigger, deeper breath. So just a little tip for you if you are finding you have any kind of struggles with taking in those nice deep breaths. I taught my daughter this havening approach one day when she was going in for dental surgery, and it was kind of a major procedure. And she just lay there, as the dentist was doing their thing, and she just calmly stroked her hands, right? So just a really, really cool tip for you. And it's something you can just use anywhere, right? I love that. I love really simple things. You don't have to, learn 10 different skills in order to do it. You can just very simply do it. So maybe just take a notice of how you feel with doing this. And you might want to continue to do this for yourself as you go through the day, any day, just a little bit of havening. So this masterclass is for you. If you desire to create a life you love, if you truly want vitality and longevity, if you want to just have the greatest sense of who you are and live your life on fire every day, it's for you. If you're feeling a little disconnected, like maybe you're feeling disconnected from loved ones or from community or from your neighbors, or maybe you're feeling disconnected from yourself. And this is for you if you're not in complete, total alignment with yourself. Now, if you're sitting here going, well, I have the life I love, and I feel pretty great, and I feel pretty connected, and I feel in total alignment, awesome. Then stay tuned, because you might actually find that there are some things here for you that will just really help to elevate things for you, expand things even more. Because if you're on that journey, you get that status quo is not where it's at. Like, status quo is so passe. This is about really living an electrified, enlightened, amazing, incredible life. You also might listen in and think, oh my gosh, I know of so many other people for whom they could benefit from this. Because let's face it, a life that is just only selfishly lived for ourselves is not nearly as rewarding as a life that is lived where we know we can make an impact for other people. So just a little bit about myself. I am a mom. These are my 4 kids. I think this picture is about 2 years old now. They're all giant and they change so quickly. My kids are ages 5 to, well, almost 6. I guess my little one is almost 6, to 21. I have 2 that have moved out and 2 that are still home with me. I have a really incredible partner that I manifested. One day I just said, I'm kind of ready to date again. And within a week, voila, he plopped into my world, and we've been together ever since. I'm also a podcast host. You can find me anywhere you listen to your podcasts. It is the Be Well and Be You podcast. I'm also a transformational coach and a wellness consultant. And my book is just about ready. My editor just sent me her final revisions last week. And I said, okay, as soon as the masterclass is done, I'm going to review your revisions and it's off to the publisher. So really excited about that. I also have a passion for singing. I have my whole life. I was raised with a musical family. And last year I joined a choir that has just been the delight of my week. I highly recommend finding some form of play for yourself. It is so good. And again, we're going to talk about the vagus nerve, but it really helps to stimulate your vagus nerve. Now, I learned that we are in continual creation of our life. And I have learned that there are unlimited possibilities for us when we're living in alignment and tapping into the collective. And the collective, by that, I mean tapping into the world, the 5D, the things that are outside of what we sort of physically see. And I also mean about tapping into the collective of us beautiful, energetic beings. In 2015, I was able to manifest living in a dream city that I had only ever imagined I would live in. And there was a massive upheaval in my world. And I set about, even though there were some things that seemed to be out of my control, I set about to create a new track, a new path forward, and was able to do that in 2015. Packed my kids up, moved to a different city or different town, I should say. And oh my gosh, it was exactly what I had dreamed of. And then fast forward, I had been writing some gratitudes and become very intentional about what my dream was. And in 2022, 3 months prior to the date I had set for myself, we moved into our dream home. And then last year in 2023, I was at this event. I do background work for films just because for me, it's like, it's a day to take my mind off of everything in my life and just go have fun. And they did this random draw because we were all actually volunteering our time on this film set. And they decided everybody put in your $5 or $20 and we're going to do a draw. And I decided and I declared that I would be the winner of that cash. And I began to just like feel it in my body, and I was super excited. And I began telling all the other background people that, hey, I'm the winner. I'm going to win. And they were giggling and thinking, like, this girl's crazy. She's out to lunch. Until they announced my name. And they're like, oh, wow. She really did manifest that. So that was so fun for me. And in fact, I thought it was going to be about $300 and it was over $700 in cash, which was super fun. It was just before Christmas. I'm like, oh yeah. So why I'm telling you these things is not to be impressive about who I am, but to let you know that as your guide through this masterclass, I have learned some things about the universe. I've learned how to tap into things in such a way that we can truly create the life that we dream of. And I want you to just imagine for a moment that you are living your dream life. I want you to imagine what that looks like, what it feels like. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, I have a pretty awesome life, Kimberly. So good. I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, if you're already feeling grateful and already feeling like you've got this great life, brilliant. We all know that there is so much within us that beckons us to continue moving forward until we take our last breath. So I want you to imagine for a moment that there's no limitations or barriers in your way. So often we want to think of what our dream is. We might have this thing that we dreamed of when we were a kid, or we might have this dream that came to us, when we were a bit older. And what do? We shut it down. We say, not possible. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I wouldn't even know who to approach. I mean, we do all manner of things to limit us. And let's face it, for many of us, our families did this. They said, no. Pick something realistic. No. You're not going to get a good job with that kind of training. Go do this. Right? There's so many messages, and they're well-meaning a lot of the times. They want to protect us. They want to keep us safe. And yet there's always something within every single one of us that is calling us for more, that is calling us to truly tune in to who we are and what we are created for. And yet all of these things that the messages and the things that we now believe are our own beliefs, well, I couldn't possibly do it, they begin to really get in the way of us actually moving forward. So I want you to imagine if there were no limitations, no barriers. I want you to first imagine, who would you be? Take a couple of breaths. For some of you, this is strange. For some of you, this is like, I don't know, who would I be? That's okay. I'm not going to give you a quiz at the end of this. There's no quiz. This is just, I'm wanting to lead you through some processes that will allow you to tune in more and more to who you truly are and who you are truly called to be. So who would you be? Now, for some of you, you might actually think of somebody else in your life who's a model of how you would love to be. I've always loved people who speak their mind, who will ruffle feathers, who will just say it because they know it's the truth without any concern for what somebody else thinks of them. That's the kind of person that I've always dreamed of being. So sometimes it's like when you see those people and you're like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to speak my truth. Or, oh yeah, I want to be that person who just walks into the room with confidence, knowing that they have light to bring the world. I want you to imagine for a moment the activities, the things that you do where you totally lose track of time. And I'm not talking about Netflix, although some of us can get lost in Netflix. But what are the things that maybe you're not doing them right now? Maybe you've done them in your past. What are some of the things that actually it's almost like you wake up from it and go, whoa, God, what time is it? Perhaps it's a hobby. Perhaps it's something like, for me, for choir, like when we're singing in choir, it's like, oh, we're already at our 2-hour mark. Okay. Oh, we're done. And then I don't even want to leave. I want to keep talking with everybody because there's just such an amazing, incredible energy there. Right. So these are the kinds of things that make us lose track of time. Now, If you knew that your life was waiting for you, this is a really important question. What would you stop doing? Because sometimes we've allowed things to be a part of our life that really interfere with our energy. They disrupt our ability to feel free. They may cloud our perspective. I was having a conversation with a young person not that long ago who was talking about how they were constantly doing all these things for their friends every single day because they thought that they should, because they thought that was the right thing to do or that was the good thing to do. But what was happening was they were losing energy like crazy. Every day they were feeling more and more and more and more fatigued. And so my challenge to them was, what could you stop doing? Could you maybe, instead of 6 days a week with all these friends, could you maybe cut it back to 3 days a week? You've got this other thing you really want to pursue that you're finding you can't pursue because your time is being taken over by all these other responsibilities that you placed on yourself. This wasn't even wasn't even like a child in their life that they were responsible to look after. This is just something that they had taken on, not because they truly desired, but because they thought they should. I mean, how often do we do this in our life where we say yes to something because we think we should? And when we stop, it actually empowers us and it gives us that ability to have that door open for something else, for something more. My next question for you is, if you knew your life was waiting for you, what would you start doing? Now, for some of you, you've got your pens and papers out and you're writing this down, or you've got your device and you're writing it out. For some of you, it's all in your mind, in your head, and that's okay. Whatever works best for you. I'm a writer, so for me, it's like, if I'm writing pen to paper, that kinesthetic connection for me means that it actually helps to trigger my mind-heart connection, and I get to my answer a lot faster. So if you're that person, by all means, right away. So what would you start doing? If you knew your life was waiting for you, if you truly, truly believed, and this is where we're parking our disbelief. We're saying, hey, I know that there's things that I constantly think I can't do or shouldn't do, or, not possible to do. We're going to park that limiting belief for a moment. And we're going to say to ourselves, okay, let's imagine the possibilities are endless. What would I start doing? Would I start saying yes to going out with friends? Maybe you found yourself sitting at home, kind of just going through the motions, and you really, really have in the past found that you are lit up by being around other people. So maybe for you, it's, I got to get out there more. I got to put myself out there. Maybe it's looking at what the community center is offering in terms of courses or classes, or I mean, anything. The sky is the limit. For some of you, it might be, what I really want to start doing? I want to start actively looking at my finances, because for the longest time, I've just ignored them and I don't really want to pay attention. I kind of want to turn that blind eye. And maybe that's what you want to start doing. Now, all your answers may not be coming to you in this moment. The beautiful thing is you're going to have access to this recording. I will post it. I'll send it out to you today. And for some of you, this is just going to be about questions that are just going to percolate. And I want you to come from the place of curiosity, not judgment, not shame for what you haven't yet done. I want you to come from total curiosity. If you woke up tomorrow and everything had fallen perfectly into place, imagine what would have changed. So it might be, I would have stopped doing this. I would have started doing this, and I would have been saying yes to this. Or it might be, what's changed is I'll feel a little spark of joy. What's changed is I'll feel a little light at the end of the tunnel. Now, years ago, I was in a situation that had come quite surprisingly to me. I won't get into the details of it, but it rocked my world. And I was devastated. I was brokenhearted. I woke up every morning feeling like my stomach had been sucker punched. And I was like, how can I even get through the day? And I'd had a gratitude practice. So I continued to write, I'm just grateful I have breath. I'm just grateful that, that I'm grateful for my children. I'm great. I just continued to be diligent to that practice. And one morning I woke up and it was literally like the clouds had parted and I could feel the shift. I could feel joy just starting to come to the surface. It was just coming up. And I began to write this hashtag everywhere I posted things. I love my life. Hashtag I love my life. I love my life. And people would say to me, like, are you crazy? Like, are you like, have you maybe forgotten what's going on in your world? But I truly began to step into that. I truly began to embody that. And so if, as we're going through some of these questions, you're feeling any amount of like, that isn't for me, I can't imagine the possibility, just hear me clearly and borrow my belief. Sometimes that's what we need to do, is we need to borrow the belief of others. When we're not really feeling that resonance, borrow my belief that your life, that you are meant for more, that you are designed to have an incredible, beautiful, joy-filled life. It is entirely possible. I want you to imagine how you're going to feel. Will you feel fulfilled? Will you feel joyful? Will you feel authentic? Like if you're really saying no to what you mean to say no to and saying yes to what you mean to say yes to, oh my gosh, you can actually start to tune in to who you truly are. And that authenticity is life-giving. When we come from that authentic place, we have energy. We have energy for days. We feel more peaceful. Even if the people around us don't really like how we're being, we can still feel that peace within ourselves. And oftentimes, as we begin to shift and change, there are people who don't really like it all that much. And my encouragement is, if you continue with me here on this track for the next 3 days, you're going to start to see some shifts in yourself, which is awesome. And some of the people are going to think, oh, wow, this is so cool. Like, I love this sort of little bit of you that's coming forward. And there's going to be some of you who think, I don't know, like there's something off here. And my encouragement to you is to offer them more love. Just expand your love, because I do this. I kind of test this out, actually. When somebody does something that really drives me crazy and I'm really upset, I go into that place of, okay, offer more love to myself, offer more love to this person. Yes, they're driving me crazy, but I'm just gonna test this out. And if you continue to test that out, I can assure you it is radical what begins to happen with the people around you. Radical. Would you feel grateful for the life that you live, right? Oh, gratitude is like, it is the key, it is the foundation. So I want to talk about, and we're going to talk about these over the next few days. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is community. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about wellness strategies. We're going to talk about Europe and the blue zones and the difference in their lifestyle. And on Thursday, we're going to talk about purpose. Now, as we've been going through this little mini exercise, super mini, I mean, you could literally spend hours on all of those kinds of questions. And I would encourage you to, if you really feel called to go deeper, rewatch this, I was gonna say episode. It's not a podcast, Kimberly, it's the masterclass. Rewatch this class and you will be able to go a little bit deeper. And if you're feeling like it's not possible, like, Kimberly, you don't know my life, there's been so much that has happened, or there's been so many things, so many bumps along the way, or I've just failed too much, or the life that I'm dreaming of, Kimberly, like, it's not even possible to create it because there's so much that I want to accomplish and be a part of. Like, I just, or I don't even have the energy. to get there. Let me tell you, you're going to have an incredible boost of energy when you actually come into alignment and you actually begin to go for the things that you truly desire to go for. Now, this, unfortunately, this seems to be a thing for many of us, this belief that we're not enough, that we don't deserve it, we're not good enough, we're not worthy. And so what I want to encourage you to do is, as these kinds of messages are in your mind, in your awareness, I want you to begin to create a shift. Now, this takes a level of observing, a level of witnessing yourself. And that's honestly one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, is to begin to witness the things that you are saying to yourself. So if you're saying, it's not possible, Kimberly, this life, it's not possible, I want you to begin to shift that to, hey, it's possible. And if you're thinking, I can't even imagine shifting it to it's possible, I want you to imagine shifting, there's a possibility that this life could be created. I've failed too much. How about saying something like, well, I'm on track to creating. I'm on track to enhancing my life. I'm on track to feeling more worthy. I'm on track to creating more abundance. I'm on track to having more friendships that are powerful and positive in my life. And the energy piece, or the longevity piece, how about, I love this picture of this lady, living long and living strong. Like, how about actually beginning to shift the language and the belief that you have into what's possible? Is it possible that people can live long and live really well and live healthy lives and live without fistfuls of medication? Is it possible? Well, why wouldn't it be possible for you? Why not? If we can believe it for someone else, why not transfer that belief onto ourselves? Take that external, what's outside of us, and let's move that into who we are and what we are here for. Because I can promise you, if you are a human being and you are here right now with breath, you are meant to be here. You are absolutely meant to be here. And so you are meant for so much. And on Thursday, we're going to talk more about purpose, because I think a lot of us kind of lose sight of our sense of purpose along the way. We get caught up in things. So we're going to talk more about that. But we have this condition. I want to talk for a second about this. We have this condition in our world where we think the ideal is to get to 65 and then retire. And then our life will begin, right? Then we can travel, then we can have adventures, then we can visit the world, or we can whatever. How many people statistically don't make it beyond their first or second year after retirement? Well, that doesn't sound very enticing to me. And yet we have this weird, arbitrary, like, let's retire so that we can live our lives. We live our lives today. And if we do decide to retire, there's still much that is meant for our lives. There's still more purpose there. And my father was disabled for the last 20 years of his life, from the time he was 55 years old. And he continued to pour into people. He continued, even though his life, I mean, for the most part, he was so physically challenged and really wasn't able to get out very far or very many places. Every single person who got to speak with him, who came to the house and hung out with him, or who had coffee with him at a coffee shop, they all felt touched and moved by his interaction with them. Because his purpose was to make other people feel great about themselves, right? So even though we may be, in our older seasons of life or younger, we all have a sense of purpose. We all have something that is drawing us forward, whether it's to make a difference in a small circle or make a difference in a large circle of people. And the I'm not enough, goodness gracious, if you are here, you are enough. Did you know that the egg has to actually receive that sperm? It's not just that that sperm has to make it to the egg. It's that that egg actually needs to receive it. It actually needs to give it permission. It's phenomenal. The amount of things that have to come together in order for that process to happen. But then not only that, but then for the cells to duplicate and to multiply and for everything to be in perfect harmony so that you can be birthed into this world. The very fact that you are here, you have innate worth. Each one of us has innate worth, whether you believe it or not. Like I said, borrow my belief. That is within you. And it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter how you talk. It doesn't matter what shape you are. It doesn't matter what somebody else has said about you or has not said about you. It doesn't matter the messages that have come towards you or the things that you have decided are somehow important to you. None of that matters because the reality is you are enough. And so long as you believe that you aren't, you are robbing yourself of the true privilege and the true joy of showing up authentically you and allowing others to see your light. And I firmly believe in that song, This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine. And then the second verse is hide it under a bushel. No, like no hide in the light here. I sing this song to my daughter most nights. She has a few songs that she likes me to sing to her. And it's like, you know, it's funny because I hadn't sung the song in years. And then I started singing it to her. And it has kind of new words because I have a different kind of faith background now or faith than I used to back in the day. But honest to goodness, I'm like, oh my gosh, we are all meant to shine our lights. We are all meant to shine beautifully. So let's change this. And let's, over the next few days, if you will, park all of these old, limited, unsupportive beliefs. Let's just park them. Give yourself 3 days off, a 3-day break from any of that mind chatter. And if you start noticing it's coming up for you, you just go, wait a second, Kimberly suggested that I shift my language. Now, if it starts coming up for you and you're recognizing it, and if you're recognizing it for the first time, you're noticing it, oh my goodness, give yourself a massive pat on the back, because even just stepping into that observer role is very, very powerful for your life. Because when you become the observer, you can start to be aware and to notice and then make those shifts from what wasn't possible to what is possible, from what we thought we couldn't do to what we can do. So when we're thinking of your dream life, when you're going to that place of your dream life, sometimes people will have kind of this mentality of, I really shouldn't hope for that because there's so much poverty in the world, and I should just keep myself small because somebody else doesn't have it. And let me tell you, it is not that we desire success for the sake of success itself. We don't desire success for money. Money is an energy. Money is something that man has created. Mankind, womankind have created in order to do an exchange of value. That's it. So none of your dream has anything to do with any of this. Your dream has to do with how it makes you feel. Because the reality is we desire to feel good. We want to feel good all the time. That's what we're searching for. It's part of why part of why we get hooked on social media, because we want to feel better. We want to feel better. We want to feel good. We want to feel good. Right. And yet it's kind of this empty pit where we don't necessarily have the feeling that we're longing for. But the reality with the dream that's in your heart is this is because you desire that feeling. Now, there's a really powerful thing that you can do, and that is to actually embody the feeling now. You see, the universe gives us whatever we're a match for. So if we decide we're not enough, we're horrible humans, we've never lived up to our potential, we failed too much, all hope is gone, we're going to be matched up with things that give us more evidence for that. When we decide I'm worthy, I'm enough, I desire joy, I want to feel bliss, I want to feel love, I want to feel compassion, I want to feel more of these kinds of feelings. When we actually go into that place and we start to tune in more and more and more, much like the old-fashioned radio dials, some of you might still have them on your car, right? Where you can actually tune to the right station. When we are not tuned in a really great station, there's all this static, there's all this noise, and we just get more and more noise, and it's kind of irritating. And I mean, if you were to listen to a station in the middle of the station for any length of time, it would drive you crazy. And so many of us live our lives from that place of static. So if we desire something more for our lives, if we truly desire a beautiful, joy-filled, abundant, incredible life, the more we feel that way now, long before we see the physical 3D evidence of it, the more we feel that way now, the more that things are going to begin to align up. We're going to tune in to that radio station. We're going to actually set our dial on the right place for us so that we become a match for the things that we desire. And when we can do that in a physical way, we can feel the feelings. Like, when you have that moment where, let's say you're an auntie and you hold your newborn niece, and there's just this incredible bliss and love that you have for that child. Take a feeling like that. Or maybe it's like you've hiked to the top of a mountain, you've seen this glorious sunset, and is just spectacular, and there's been an eagle that has flown in front of you, and you can just go to that place of, oh my gosh, I have shivers. I can feel that, right? So if we can go to those places that truly bring us joy and feel it more, bring more of that joy, more of those feelings, the warm, fuzzy feelings, the good, happy feelings, more of that, we're going to begin to tune in more to the things that we desire. Now, I'm not sitting here thinking, just bypass how you're truly feeling, put it aside. If you're having a time or season in your life where things are really hard, I am not saying do a spiritual bypass and only think of positive things, because the reality is those feelings are in our body too, right? We have all those feelings. The human condition is that we get to feel it all. So it's okay to feel the sadness, the longing, the regret, whatever those feelings are, the frustration, the disappointment. Those are all feelings that are okay to feel. We need to feel them. So if you're finding yourself going, but I feel this way, okay, allow yourself to feel that way for 10 seconds. Just go to that place of feeling it. Just like cry it out or scream it out or do whatever you need to do. Allow yourself to feel that. And then allow yourself to feel bliss, joy, love, compassion. Imagine something that absolutely tunes you into that. It might take a little bit to find those things, but stay in that place of curiosity. allow yourself to tune in. So often we've just shut it all down. So if you just allow yourself to tune in and go to that place and feel it in your body. Because when you can embody something, there's incredible, incredible power in that. And you're going to be able to tune into that. So when you feel that vibration, when you feel that passion, the abundance, the excitement, you're going to begin to align yourself, your being, to the desires of your heart. And one of the things that I have found is so incredibly powerful to actually support and assist us in doing this is surrounding myself with the right people, is being in the community of people who also desire this kind of trajectory, this kind of path, this kind of way of being. Because you know what it's like when you're around people and they're negative and they're naysayers and they're woe is me and they're a victim to everything in their world and their life and oh, woe is me and oh, you can't do that or you shouldn't do that. When we're around those people, it brings us down. It can't help but bring us down. The truth of the matter is, when we are around like-hearted people, the best of us can come out because we desire to be seen, we desire to be heard, we desire to be loved, and we desire to make an impact. And there's a study done, a longitudinal study done on nuns, and I was aware of this study about 25 years ago. And it has forever influenced my way of thinking, my way of seeing the world. Because these nuns, what they discovered, all of these nuns were giving their brains for research. Once they passed, they allowed their brains and their whole bodies to be studied. And what they discovered was that these nuns, even though some of them had the markers in their brains for Alzheimer's and dementia, it didn't actually manifest. Why was that? Why is it that these nuns did not show up in the 3D world as having all of these ailments that many of us see in those loved ones around us? And the biggest thing were community, that they were all tightly connected, and not just within the nuns, but also within their neighborhood. They had shared activities that they were participating in on a regular basis. They had regular discussions. They're challenging each other and having, debates and pulling things apart and learning and growing. And they had a continual sense of purpose. And that's why on day 3, we're going to talk about purpose, because honestly, that purpose will keep us moving forward when the going gets tough, when we don't feel like we're really enough today. That sense of purpose will continue to drive us. So this nun study, I don't know. I mean, I still get so lit up by it, because it's like sometimes we just take what the medical world says to us as just the truth, right? When you get to be 55 to 65, you're going to start taking more drugs. And then by the time you're 70, you have more drugs. And then by the time you're 75, you have more drugs. And then by the time you're 80, oh my gosh, even if you're alive, you got more drugs. And then you got more drugs to combat the side effects of the other drugs. So we've kind of bought in. I shouldn't even say kind of. We have, as a whole, bought into this perspective that we're not really going to live vibrant lives. I mean, I talk to so many people and I say, yeah, I want to live to be, well beyond 100. And people go, no, I don't want to live that long. And then I ask them, why? Because I don't want to be shriveled up and not able to move. And I don't want to be stuck in a hospital. And I just want to live well. And then I just want to die. And I'm like, well, what if you could live well into your 100s? What if you could do that? No, it's not possible. Like, people are so programmed and so locked into this pattern of thinking that it's just not possible. And so that, for me, is why I am so compelled to bring a message that it is possible. We just have to shift how we think, and we have to shift how we do life, because we got it backwards. We absolutely have this ability to move forward. And there's so much research that is out there showing us the possibilities. We're just not yet listening. And so that's why my calling is to say it is possible. We can live thriving, vibrant, incredible, beautiful lives. So the benefits of being in community is that there's social support. There's this sense of belonging, which I don't know if you know, there's, the 5 drivers for life, but the top one is love and belonging. One is power. We all have a need for power. We all have a need for fun. There's all sorts of different ones, but love and belonging is crucial. When we don't feel that way, we could actually die. You think about babies born in orphanages who are not touched. Or you think about what happened in 2020 with people who are in complete and total isolation. They really struggled. So this sense of being a part of something that you belong to, that you're connected to, there's also the knowledge transfer and learning, like being able to be in a community where you learn from one another. I mean, that's what my desire is. I'm going to share more about that tomorrow. My desire that we learn from one another. I don't stand up here as like the expert. No. I've been given a message that I'm sharing, and I want all of us to be a part of this. I want all of us to learn from one another and learn from the young people and learn from the older people. This is not about being in community where we're somehow just, channeled in with our own age group, right? But when we have powerful communities, it shifts our emotional, our mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. And there's economic benefits. I mean, we've gone from this place of total independence, like we've got to do it all on our own. But what if we're in communities? And I'm not talking about, all of us living in communes and sharing all of our resources, which for some people, that is a beautiful path forward. Great. Awesome. I totally implore you, go for it. But there are economic benefits, because even just with networking within different groups, and we get to share ideas and brainstorm. It's like I was at a networking group last week where we shared an idea with this woman for her spa. And it was about how to elevate the experience for her customers. And we shared the idea of, what if you had champagne for anybody who has referrals? Bring some champagne, the next time they come in, you do a toast, you celebrate them. I mean, think about it. How much is that going to benefit her business, right? So there's incredible, and this is just one little story, but there's so many incredible economic benefits from being a part of community. But what's happened is, and I don't know if you're aware of this, even in how our cities have been designed, we are no longer in community. So, hundreds of years ago, the city, let's say, was designed around, the towns were designed around the church, and everybody met together, and it was kind of this communal place. What's happened is, even so, for instance, in my neighborhood, we all have garages out the front. Our houses, the beautiful front of our house has garages. Who thought this was beautiful? I don't know, but I have garages out the front of my house. And so what happens? People drive into their garage, they go into their home. You don't even see your neighbors. So even right with the design of our communities, it's literally built in that we're not connecting. Now, if you live in a cul-de-sac, which I did at one point, beautiful. Like, you have way more possibility for community in that kind of design. But in large part, our cities are not designed for this. Then we have technology. So we had the radio, and then the TV, and then the internet, and then we have the fact that families now are focused around technology, right? And then we have longer working hours, longer commuting time. And then we just want to go home. We don't really want to be out and communing with other people. And we have gone from community to being very, very individualistic. And then we had social media. Everything changed again. So we had the email in the 90s. And then we had the internet. We had dial-up internet. It took, 10 minutes to go. And then you get your dial-up internet and voila, now you can exchange emails, right? And then we had what were called social networks. And these were designed as places for people to come together. It started out with, musical communities or university communities or, family communities. So these were all social networks. And what happened is these companies needed to look for a way to bring people to their platform and stick to the platform, not get off the platform, get stuck on the platform. And so thus began the name change from social networks to social media. And what's happened? We now on average spend over 4 hours a day on our phones. 4 hours a day. Oh my gosh. Like if you think about this, 15 years ago, were we on our phones for 4 hours a day? Nope. 20 years ago? Nope. Like no way, it wasn't even on our radar that we could even begin to spend that much time on our phones. But it's happened, and it's happened quickly and rapidly without us even really being aware. So the vision that I have for us, and there are many others who are now being called to this same vision, is to align ourselves with intentional communities. We begin to change what has happened to us, kind of without us even really being aware, and we become really aware, and we start to shift. Where we're going is a spiritual awareness. There's an awakening happening for so many people that is unparalleled. Things are happening in the spiritual world, and people are trying to wake up to the fact that this physical thing that we think is reality is actually not at all what it seems at first sight. We're recognizing we're actually really connected. You walk into a room and it's a whole host of people, and you can feel the energy immediately. Like, oh, this is a great place, or ooh, something doesn't sit right. Have you ever had that experience where you walk in and you just kind of, ooh, I don't know, something's off? It's because we are all connected and we are all constantly picking up on one another's energy. There's a vibration that we are all tuned into. We are so interconnected. Our hearts, oh my gosh, the energy of our hearts goes for miles. It's incredible how much. So imagine if you start feeling more and more love and that energy going out, how that ripple effect will happen. We're recognizing now that it's no longer just me and my personal development and me and, what I can do. It's about, yes, develop myself. Yes, tune in, be aligned, and make an impact. So it's about being open-hearted, like really having this big open heart. This is what we're moving into. No longer is it the selfishness, me era. No longer is it the era of, I just got to fight for myself and only think of myself. No longer. Like that time, it's going to get really uncomfortable for a lot of people very soon because things are shifting quickly. If you're at all attuned to what's going on right now, you're going to start to see these are going to become more and more greater and greater, more powerful shifts. And yes, we're still going to be online. Absolutely. I mean, we're connecting today because we're online, so that it can be used for such beauty. It can be so powerful, but we're also going to become more intentional with what we're communicating and doing with each other offline. And there's a new line of software that's coming out that's not social media. It's called cultural software. And it's about actually being able to connect with people in an authentic, real way with very intentional communities. So stay tuned because I'm going to give you a peek tomorrow at what I have created that is lighting up my world and those of the community members. It's just such a beautiful place. But this is where we're going. We're not going to stick with the design of the communities and the design of social media and the design of all these things that other people have orchestrated for us for their own plans. We're going to start to shift the balance. We're going to start to be super intentional so that we can actually live long, finish strong, live happy, joyful, vibrant, live all the feels, yes, and do it in beautiful community. So we talked today a little bit about nasal breathing. So if you take nothing else from today, start tuning into this thing on your front of your face. Oh my goodness, so powerful. I read a book called Breath last summer and the summer before. I keep reading it. So good. And it's all about how powerful it is to breathe through your nose. And if you have trouble sleeping, you might want to consider getting something that closes your mouth at night so that you can open up your nasal passages a whole lot more. And we talked about havening, which is this beautiful, gentle gift that you can give yourself. And I want you to just start getting curious. Start imagining your dream life. Start thinking about the possibilities that could be there for you. And as those thoughts come up, you're going to begin to notice them over the next few days. Even you're going to start to go, wait a second. Right. Kimberly told me that I should just be an observer and just be curious. Like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Okay, well, how about if I shift that? Shift it to what's possible. Shift it to I'm enough, or I'm on track to believing I'm enough. If believing you're enough is just totally not possible right now, shift it to I'm on track. I'm on track to. When you begin to live in alignment with your dreams, you are going to unlock possibilities for your future that otherwise not possible. And I love this picture of the little girl and how big she sees herself. And I want that for us. I want us to actually understand the power that we have to be us and to fill the room, fill the space with our light, with our energy. So this is where we're going. We're shifting things up. We're changing. We're going places that are new. And this is a new beginning for us. And I'm so excited because we don't have to live in that place of loneliness and being alone and trying to figure it out by ourselves and, trying to get sometimes personal development. If you've been on that track for a while, sometimes it can feel like I keep trying. But when we're in a community of people who are like-hearted, so much can shift for us. So tomorrow we're going to talk more about the European lifestyle and the blue zones, and I'm going to have some really cool things to share with you. And I'm just so grateful that you've been here with me today. And in the Unlocking Possibilities webinar, tomorrow we start day 2. For those of you who are watching the replay, thank you so much for your energy. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are. And I am so grateful for each one of you and look forward to some incredible possibilities coming all of our way. So thank you, everybody. Have an awesome, awesome day.